Welcome back to the Pull Tab Sports Network.
You know what? You still haven't caught your breath.
Let's start over. Should we start over?
Is it because you haven't caught your breath?
Well,
It is, isn't it?
we're coming to you in the Cub Content Studio on the Pull Tab Sports Network, and this is episode number 11, and my ass is wet.
So Prop Bet Pete does such a great job on these intros. I think I've done 2 in 11 episodes or something because he does a really good job. Truth be told, we had a little bet outside sitting in the car.
I'm
And
still catching my breath.
You're still catching your breath.
I am.
And you have a really wet ass.
But I'm $20 richer.
That 20.
We'll be posting that
So what did you
video.
do, Pete?
So we are coming to you from downtown Stillwater, the founding place of Cub Foods, by the way, Stillwater, Minnesota. And there is a park up the street from the Pull Tab Sports Network studio, and it is called Teddy Bear Park. And I don't know if you know this because you're not from Stillwater, but raising our children here, there was a wealthy family in town that donated the money to develop Teddy Bear Park many years ago. In fact, I think it came from Dell Computer money. He was an executive at Dell Computers, so he gave money for Teddy Bear Park. And Teddy Bear Park in Stillwater is a great park for kids, and it's
And for people that are 55 years old when it's raining.
and 55-year-old people when it's wet and raining. And so David and I, decided when we parked that David challenged me to a bet. You'll see it in the video. And I had to do a couple of different acrobatic things, very graceful, I might add, if I did it within 90 seconds, I got $20. So we'll leave it at that with the cliffhanger. Suffice it to say, it is very wet outside, especially at the bottom of slides where there's puddles of water. And I have a pretty wet behind right now.
It's a good thing you didn't wear white pants, though.
I did not wear the white pants. I'm going to leave that to you. You're the white pants guy.
What do you got planned after this that you're okay with it?
Well, actually, Sal, you kind of mentioned that you might want to see if you could try it in 90 seconds.
I said I didn't say I wanted to try. I mentioned I don't know. I'm not so sure I could do it.
How much would it take for you to consider it?
Yeah.
Pete did it in 55 seconds for $20. Do you think 40 in
Well, I'd have restrictions.
like what kind of restriction?
Well, there needs to be a defibrillator
That's what
nearby.
I was going to say. There needs to be paddles.
Well,
Yeah.
would you take some Stoli with you beforehand? Is that
for
something-
sure.
There you go.
Ooh,
Little
couple
aiming oil.
A couple shots of Stoli, run around in a circle 5 times, and then try to do it in 90 seconds.
Ooh.
There you go.
That-
That's a real challenge. David?
That are you in on it, Sal?
No, I got to drive.
Remember, we are here, couple of guys, along with Sal and a producer, 3 of us just talking about having some fun gambling
Right.
and drink in moderation as well.
Yeah. Well, you can do what you want, but we're going to do things in Well, not gambling. Most things we'll do in moderation. Let's put
Do you
it that
think
way.
in our latest trip to Vegas we did things in moderation?
I think the first day we went full tilt, and then we kind of slowed it down and had a little more thought process.
One thing we didn't talk about leading up to it, but one of the most fun that I have on the trip to Vegas is the plane on the way there. And you've never experienced this with me because you had never played Canadian blackjack nor boardless cribbage.
Canadian blackjack.
Yeah. So here's
Really
when you
interesting,
have
Sal.
when you have the little tray in front of you at the airport in the
In the airplane.
thank you.
Yes.
That's those things called, right?
Yeah, the things, they're like pill boxes. Yeah.
So Tim and I had and previous trips, you just have a deck of cards. Let's start with Canadian blackjack.
Right.
It's pretty similar where you have the dealer gets to say whatever they want in the pot. And I think we just kept 50 in there the whole time.
So the dealer funds
Right.
the pot. So we were
So-
sitting 3 across. Sorry, David, to interrupt you.
I was in
but
the middle.
Just to set this up, Sal, we were sitting 3 across. David was in the middle. I was on the aisle, and another friend of ours, TJ, was on the window. And they looked at me, and they were like, we gamble on these flights, right? I'm like, well, we're going to Vegas. We might as well gamble. I didn't realize the extent to which we were going to gamble on the flight, which is really interesting. But go ahead, David.
Well, you funded at least half of your first day on your wins on the plane. Because Pete, you
that
got
is
the
correct.
luckiest boardless cribbage in Canadian blackjack. Canadian blackjack, we can get into it later. It's kind of a fun game where
Yep.
the as Pete was saying, you fund the pot. So let's say $50, and then I each hand a card. I'm going to say one to you, Pete, and one to you, Sal. And my card is up, and you can go anywhere from $5 to pot, Sal. So, but there's a couple of rules. The dealer can hit or stay on anything. dealer wins on 21 no matter what. 2 aces wins automatically. So there's just some different rules. So like, let's say I have a
2 aces
6
for anyone or 2 aces?
Two
for
aces for anybody.
Okay.
So let's say that I have a 6 up and Pete gets an ace. He's going to go pot. Okay. Let's say he gets a 4. He might say I'm good. But let's say I flip over and have 16. I can go pay, or 15. I can say pay 16. I don't have to hit. Let's say he's bluffing. So you bring in the element of bluffing because his cards are down.
Sure.
It's a lot of fun, but it got a little out of control.
Well,
Imagine that.
it didn't help that they brought 6 bottles of Woodford Reserve to us in the first 10 minutes of the flight.
Well, that was after 3 vodka Stoli cranberries.
Right.
We've mentioned Stoli a couple times. The bottle behind, right? Good sponsor of ours. We
Yeah.
love them. We had some on the plane. We had some in Vegas. We love that you're a sponsor. But you're right. It got a little...
Well, so Sal, when you're the house on Canadian Blackjack, you can, like David said, you can fund the pot as much as you want, and you're playing against the other 2. And, you know, like David said, you deal out to the other 2 players, and you're putting the money in the pot. So I put $100 in the pot, right? And we're doing it all on paper, so we're kind of keeping a
So I got
ledger,
this little piece
right?
of paper, and I'm trying to keep track, going back and forth.
And this is the first time I've actually gambled, you know, a fair amount on the plane. And these guys are licking their chops because I don't know how to deal, I'm airheaded.
We
and,
think he's a newbie, and we're going to clean his clock. Boy, were we wrong.
and they're looking at me like, oh my God, this is just like I'm chumming the water to the sharks, right? And I thought the same thing because we played the cribbage game first, which the cribbage game is a little complicated, and I'm at 9 in the morning, 8 in the morning. What time did we? I think we took off at 7:30, 7 a.m. I am not a good. My thought process is in the hard drive is not spun up very well.
But you can't lose or win as much in that game. So we were playing dime a dollar.
Yep.
Double on skunks. So I think it was like $12 and $8 or something.
I
And then we switched over.
I think I got doubled up right away. Remember?
Yeah, you got
I
double skunk,
skunked.
but you lost like $12.40.
Yeah,
$12.
I lost like $12, and then I lost another $5 or $10 or something, and I was like down $25, and I was thinking, wow, this isn't too bad, but I'm losing. And then we switched over.
And you're still 2.5 hours away from your destination.
Yep.
Right. Then we switched over to Canadian
But let me just, we'll
Blackjack.
just fast forward this. An hour and a half later, Pete can't believe what's happening because he's looking at the sheets of paper on my name, TJ's name, and his, and he's
Right.
giggling, and he can't stop giggling. And I looked at him, and I'm like, you have to stop giggling or I'm going to punch you. Like, I'm your friend,
did say
and you
that.
have, I did, didn't I?
Yes,
I'm
you
like,
did.
you have to stop laughing or I literally am going to strangle you.
You did. And TJ, who kept potting it, Sal, almost every time. And then he's chasing at the end. And I just kept pulling cards out of nowhere. He'd have 20, I'd get 21.
Or you would stay on 15 and we were bluffing with 12.
yeah, exactly.
It was like he was seeing the cards. So we're taxing in now to Vegas.
We're taxiing it.
And TJ's like, we got 5 more hands. We're like, Tim, like people are getting up to leave. Like we have to go. The casinos are waiting. We had a blast though. That was a lot of fun, right?
Suffice it to say that I did very well on the plane ride out, and I think that was probably one of the last wins I had in Vegas. But I did do well when we touched down. By the time we
What was the
touched
plane ride home like? You just didn't want to talk to each other. You had separate seats.
We had
and-
separate seats. Pete stayed, which we're going to get into.
Oh,
As you
that's
stayed
right.
down, I
with Kim.
stayed with Mrs. Propet Pete for a couple extra days. So I needed that money. Let's
So
put it that
Sal
way.
and our listeners, when we got to Vegas, Pete had to take a work call, and so Dieter, who was here on the Craps episode, and TJ, we headed over to Bellagio to put in our bags and start playing blackjack. And then here comes Pete because we took his suitcase, but he's got his backpack, and I've never seen a guy walking through Bellagio with like a Under Armour backpack loaded with stuff.
I can tell you this, and it's North Face, by the way. I can tell you this. I don't know if you've ever experienced this, Sal, but we got on a plane at 7 a.m. We actually touched down, I think, about 8:30 a.m. in Vegas. At 9:30, I show up to Bellagio, and I text David and the other guys, and I'm like, where are you guys? Like I don't know where they are. And there's literally probably, I think at 9 o'clock in the morning on a Wednesday, there's maybe 150 people gambling in the whole casino. 3 of them,
It's pretty quiet.
those 3 clowns are sitting at a blackjack table playing blackjack. And so I sit down, and all of them are down. You're down a little bit. And they're like, get your 300 out. We're playing $300 a guy. We're pooling together. And this was my first experience with pooling more than 2 people.
At a blackjack table.
At a blackjack table or anything for that matter. I've never pooled with that many people.
Yeah.
And I throw 300 down, and I continue my winning streak right away. These guys are losing. David and Dieter are losing. TJ's kind of hanging in there.
I think Dieter and I actually were done, or even gave some money, and
we were close to done.
You and TJ stuck around, and then until that's right.
Yeah, so I'm getting to that. So
okay.
We all played for about 5 minutes, and by then David and Dieter are out of money, and I'm up probably 400 in the first 7-8 hands. Like I'm doubling. We're following the 1, 2, 3, 5. I think I got to 3 a couple times. I didn't get the 5, and then I got the 5 once, and I won. And so I'm up $400 or $500, and the 2 to the left of me, David and Dieter, are out of money. And they're like, you know what, guys, we're not going to throw more money in. We're going to step back. Why don't you guys play this out? So if you think about it, and this is where the mental game comes in, I'm thinking to myself, I'm up $400 or $500, but I'm not really up $400 or $500 because collectively we're in for $1,200 on a blackjack table. And we're already down $600 from you two. And Tim's got about $50 left. So he plays out and he loses. So I'm the last guy standing, and I've got $600 or $700 sitting in front of me. And Tim's like, give me 200. And that mental feeling about giving someone $200 of your chips, right? Right? I'm like, I don't want to give you 200. I'm up 500, but I'm not because we're down like 500, right? So I give him 200, and I kind of come to the conclusion that, hey, I got another guy playing with me. Well, I start slowly whittling downward, and Tim starts amping up a little bit as far as he's winning a hand, he's winning another hand, he's kind of remaining kind of close to even. Well, I look over, and we're both down to about $200. And Tim looks at me and says, well, we're down to our last $400. Let's just play it out. And I lose down to my last like $25. Tim's kind of still hanging in there at 200, and he goes on a run. And
he went to infinity. He went beyond 5 units, right?
He went 1, 2, 3, 5. All of a sudden, I look over. He's got like $500 sitting there. He ends up at a $350 bet because he just kept upping.
And we were at a $25 table.
We were at a $25 table. So 5 times is 125. So
15 units or something.
So he's like 15 units in, deep, and he gets a double down on 350 and wins it.
Now, meanwhile, Dieter and I are kind of walking around, and we see them, and we see these guys stand up, and we're like, oh, crap. I guess we're all down 300 to start the day.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And we ended up basically even, I think, right?
I thought, because I think TJ handed me $1,000 and a $500 chip.
Yeah.
And said, you guys cash this out. Let's meet over there. So I think we each made like $100 or something, or $50 or something. And but then you said later that it was good that you gave TJ the money because you don't think you would have went up to 12 or 14 unit bet. You would have probably stuck at 5.
Well, and that's what makes me not a really great gambler is I don't have that. I've got that stop limit thing in my head where Tim's like, the only way we're going to get it back when we're sitting there talking and he's playing is we're gonna have to take some bold chances, and we're going to have to really up our game a little bit. I would not have upped the game. I would have stayed at 5, and he went to 6 and 8 and 10 times our bet, and that's what got us back.
Yeah.
And I at first I was like, I don't want to give him $200, and then I gave him another 200, and he took that 200 when we were down to 200 left and brought it up to 1,1600.
Yeah.
And I don't recommend that for everyone because you got to know what you're doing.
How do you keep track of it all? I mean, seriously.
Well, you mean on the pooling of the money, Sal?
Yeah.
Well, I think like in that case, it was fairly easy because we all knew we were in 300.
Yeah.
And whatever we take out of there, we went and split it. So you and I walked over to the cage. We got $1,500. We each gave ourselves 400 or 300 or whatever, and we took 200 and went somewhere else.
Yep. I think we went to bubble craps then.
So yeah, that's a good question, Sal. One thing I want to mention to our listeners and viewers here is that the 1, 2, 3, 5 on blackjack, the beauty of this is when you play blackjack or any real game is you're waiting for that streak, right? You know you're going to have a dealer that's going to win 10 in a row, so you just bet 1 unit and lose 10 units in a row.
Right.
So you'd lose 250. If you're going to win 10 in a row, go 1, 2, 3, 5. You can keep it at 5, or you can go up in units like TJ did.
Right.
And that's what it is. There's so many times, 90% of the time, you're kind of trading win or loss, and you're waiting for that big run or that double down. And in that case, it worked out for us, right?
It did, and like I said, and you're 100% right. And I would not have gotten up to 350 at that point. And when he doubled on 350 and hit 700 on that hand alone, that put us.
Well, it's a $1,400 swing with one card.
$1,400 swing.
And so then now all of a sudden, So Pete's now still got his backpack, folks. And we decide we're going to go over to Bubble Craps because Dieter was here 12 hours earlier, right, sitting in that chair telling us about it.
So now it's 10:30 a.m.
You make it sound we were the gambling guys.
We're the gambling guys.
People wouldn't expect any.
And I usually take an afternoon flight into Vegas, so I'm like, it's only 10:30 a.m.
That's your own fault.
And I mean, there's a lot of whiskey that's been drinking already in our group, right? And we've all had a fair share of whatever we feel we're comfortable with, and it's like 10:30 in the morning, Sal.
But we had a lot of fun at that Bubble Craps.
And
so,
we did, yeah.
Sal, you know Bellagio, right?
Yep.
Walk into the lobby and you take a right, and that long path you can take over towards Caesars.
That runway,
Yep. But over by the piano bar in between, there's a few Bubble Craps right on the strip, or not the strip,
right on the runway.
Walking.
Yeah.
And I think we each threw in, was it 100 or 200?
Well, I think we threw the 250 that we had, or 300 from the
and then maybe
from
100
the win,
each more.
and then we each threw 100 in. I think
because I remember we had about 5 or 6 to play with.
Yeah.
And Dieter was doing exactly what he said. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm gonna put it here. I'm gonna hop it over here. And we went down a little, but that was a lot of fun. I'm smiling because the 4 of us were high-fiving at 10:30, and people were looking at us like the guy next to us thought that we were playing the pass line, right?
He thought we were newbies too.
Oh, that's what it was.
Because we were laughing and
Yes.
making newbie comments,
That's
right?
right.
And he was like, "Well, that's the way craps go," because we were living it up a little bit and having some fun and being over dramatic and yelling, "Yeah, come on, pass line," right? And the guy's like, you could tell he was kind of rolling his eyes at us, thinking, "Here comes a bunch of newbies," right? And so then we took like 500 and brought it down to like $40. Like we had a couple times, I think we had to put an extra 20 in because we were down to nothing.
Yep.
Each one of us put an extra 20 in. And then playing the dark side, it just rolled back up again. And I forget how we finished. How did we finish?
I think we finished about even.
Okay.
Because then I think they got their rooms, and then we decided, you know what, we're going to go down to down to Fremont Street, downtown Vegas, that first day, because we had dinner reservations the next night. So Sal, we went. I think it was Dieter's idea. He said, let's stop at Fontainebleau, that casino that's been built for like 20 years and finally just opened. So we took a Uber down there, right, from Bellagio.
We Ubered from Bellagio to Fountain Bay. But
Fontainebleau.
One more thing about craps. We did the episode 10, which was kind of an instructional type podcast. I think if you have the opportunity and you want to learn craps, play on those bubble machines because it really is fun, and there's even some self-tutorial stuff on those
and
machines.
It's less intimidating.
Yeah. So just to explain the bubble, I got a couple of questions about
fire
bubble
away.
craps.
Yeah, for sure.
Bubble craps has got there's a bubble in the middle and 2 huge dice in there, and that's what determines the point or whatever.
So there's
Correct.
2 types of bubble craps, Sal, just
Okay.
so you know. There's one where it's a community bubble where there's one huge pair of dice and people are playing at different terminals, but they're all watching the same pair of dice.
Right.
And then there's an individual bubble craps machine, which is what we were playing.
Oh, okay.
Where the guy around the corner had his own individual play and we had our own individual dice, but it's still in a bubble. So it's still that thing and you're still betting on a video screen. So that's
So my question is it timed, or is it like you push a button and the dice get rolled?
The large tables are timed, whereas if you don't throw it in 30 seconds, it throws it for you. The bubble craps, you can sit there.
it still does have a little bit of a timeout, I think.
Does it?
It does. It has a countdown, but
maybe
we never,
the degenerate gambles and the gambling guys, we don't let the timer hit.
we just
'cause we
wanted
know
to
what
go.
we're doing.
Yeah.
That seems like it would go really fast.
It's not too bad. They do give you a fair amount of time. I think it's 30 or 45 seconds in between for you to place bets, and I think in some cases they give you even longer than that, just because they know that most people would want to learn craps are not going to play on a regular table right away. They're going to play bubble. Because it's easier, and sometimes the limits are definitely lower. I mean, I think the limit on that machine was
For sure.
like $5 or something.
And that's a good call
really?
out to the user.
Yeah.
I actually think you can make $1 bets. You can on the
you can on the
hard
prop
ways
bets
and
stuff.
stuff.
Yeah, the hard ways, the Cini and
But you're right. Even when we were downtown, you can't find something under 10 or 15.
That's
so
right.
the bubble craps is a good way to go.
yeah. And
that's good to know.
It's a great way to play. It's a fun way to you have a group, and I saw it plenty of times over the 4 days I was there, where a group of people would be hanging around watching somebody play bubble craps, and it's a really fun, entertaining way to spend some time, not lose a lot of money, and learn the game of craps. Quite frankly,
I think in many, if not all, they don't give you the promotional stuff at the casinos. Do you see that little sign next to it?
yeah, they don't give you the player points.
They don't. give you
that doesn't?
They don't.
Oh.
So I think that's part of what Pete said is that I think people can play for so long and only on $5 that you don't get the player points.
In fact, that's a funny story. When you guys were gone and I sat down at a bubble craps table, it was the community one afternoon. I went to shove my player card because they have a player card slot. And of course, right on the machine, it says, player points not available or whatever, loyalty points not available. I shoved my card in the slot and I kept shoving it in. I'm like, mine's not working.
Can't read.
And of course, I shoved it so hard, I shoved my card in and I had to go get a new
Did you really?
card. Yes. Because
you got to tell me in a
brute
little
force
bit.
works better.
Because we haven't really talked about what you did afterwards. But let's finish the day. So then
Yeah.
we went over to Fontainebleau.
Fontainebleau,
So
which
for
is
those,
interesting.
yeah, if those of you that haven't, I think it's worth a stop. It was an interesting, I thought,
Agreed.
feeling when you pull up. It's got like this Miami Vice. They had all white suits on with tennis shoes, and it kind of was a cool vibe outside. Beautiful building, but it was too grand to me. Like you'd go into the gaming floor, and it was like 8 stories tall with this huge chandelier. And when we sat and played blackjack, and then I think it was Tim and I that went and played some video poker when you and Dieter were still playing, one of the two.
Yeah.
I think it was like $10 a pop at video poker. Like it's all too high limit.
Yeah, my impression of Fontainebleau was if you have not been to a lot of casinos, it has a really kind of cool new feel to it.
Where is it exactly?
North of the Stratosphere, but south of Fremont.
Yeah.
So north end of the Strip.
Down towards
Yeah.
towards
It's the
Stratosphere.
big, yeah. So on the other side of Resorts World,
Yeah.
down that way.
Okay.
Yeah, on the other side
Yep.
of the street.
It's the big blue one, hence Fontainebleau.
Yeah, there you go. I thought the facility itself was beautiful. I thought the casino though was almost too light in there and too high of ceilings. Like
Yeah.
you didn't feel cozy. I want to feel cozy in a casino, and some people like that feeling. Right?
So I think the other thing that turned me off is sometimes when you play blackjack, you can't say hit or stand. You have to do a hand gesture. I don't think we've ever talked about that.
Right.
So for the cameras, you have to stay or you have to hit. TJ does this. It's exactly the same thing my dad did. This is hit.
Yeah.
Just give me a card. Give me a card. Okay, Sal? So he was doing this.
Yeah.
Well, he's ahead just like I am or whatever. So if you're the third person, you just sit there and go like this. I'm ready for a card. I'm ready for a card. And the dealer stopped and goes, "You want to surrender?" And he goes, "I don't want to surrender."
yeah.
She goes, "You're making the signal for surrender." And Tim goes, I think he's we kind of got into a little interact. I think I got up and left because I just didn't like what she was saying to him. You're a
vibe
brand new
wasn't good.
casino.
Yeah.
You got 4 guys that are going to gamble in your casino on a Wednesday morning at 11.
Yeah.
And now you're going to argue with us? I just said, you know what? There's plenty of places that can take my money. And I think that's what it was. I'm like, Tim, let's just leave. Let's just leave.
Well, we lost a lot of
So
money.
what is
fast.
that? What? So surrendering, I'm assuming, is you're done. You don't want to play.
I think you can get I don't even know the rules. I think you can get half your bet back if you see your 2 cards and their up card or something like that.
Is that right?
It's something like that. We should check, but I've never surrendered. And Tim's like, I never surrender.
No
He
one
goes,
surrenders.
I'm asking for a hit.
I want to fight to the death.
How would that be surrendering?
It was the dumbest thing, Sal.
It was.
I'm sure she had a perspective that she thought that he was surrendering, and maybe
and this
she
is
got
cards down. This is card down poker,
no. This was blackjack cards up.
or okay.
So it was strange. I don't even know what he had, but I remember Tim and I just got up and left, and then we just waited for you guys, and then we went down to Fremont.
Yeah, that was the start of the day the start of the point at which things kind of went south for us. That we started to accelerate. I felt like because you and I had some luck downtown on Fremont, which was fun, but Fontainebleau was kind of like a buzzkill for me when we got in
That
there.
stop, if anything, of that whole time. I mean, I wanted to go see the place, but
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
It was a buzzkill. Good call.
Buzzkill gambling wise.
Now, you almost pulled it back, though. So we all got to craps at Serica. Serica's an awesome sports book, great place, really great vibe. So we went there and we all cashed in. Tim and I are at one end of the craps table, and you and Dieter at the other end.
Right.
And did you and Dieter start talking about what were you guys betting the same? Because we looked at you and you were betting opposite us.
Right.
And so I think Tim and I are like, what are we doing here? Like we're just so go. But then you guys had kind of a bit of a roll, right, on the hard six.
Well, that was the problem. Is we were pooling our money still, Sal, and we weren't standing together at the craps table. So two guys were at the end, David and TJ, and myself and Dieter were kind of on the side, a ways back from them, so 3/4 of the way around the table. And I looked down at their bets, and I looked down at Dieter and our bets, and they're offsetting. So you're never going to win.
We're not the smartest.
Right? It's like me playing sleeper and betting 3 guys on the same team to be over on points. Sal's got a story about that. But but it just doesn't work. And so those guys realized it probably about the same time or even before we did. And they came down and said, we're out. We're going to go play something else if you guys want it. Here's the rest of our chips. You gave us your chips.
Yeah, I'm like,
yeah,
you guys take at it.
And then Dieter and I stuck around, and there was like 3 of us at the table, and I started throwing, and I went on a roll. Unfortunately, Dieter was betting the dark side at that point, and I think I was maybe betting a smaller amount on the pass line so I could roll, and we were offsetting our bets again.
But we swung by, and you had said, I'm one more hard 6 away, because didn't Dieter bet and then press it?
So Dieter put down a bet for $5, I think, on the hard 8.
Okay.
Or hard 10, I think. And I hit the hard 10, and he pressed it up. So he took all that money. I think, what was he call it? Because he calls it parlay it.
Yep.
He parlayed it. And so then he's literally throwing everything he won, $35, on the hard 10 again. I threw a hard 10 again. And so then we're up to... What's that? 35 times 7, is it? I think it's pays 7 times.
7 or 8.
7 to 1 or 8 to 1. So there we win $300-400, whatever it is.
But he pressed it again.
But
Didn't he?
they only took a limit.
Oh, they did.
They limit your hardway bet to $100. And so he put 100 on there. And if I would have hit the hard 10 again, we're back up because we were holding our own right at that point. But I didn't hit the hard 10. I think I ended up crapping out. And when he was betting dark side, I went on like a 25 roll run of hitting numbers. And the only thing that was keeping us alive was he, as he said during that podcast when he was here, he was hitting the 6 and the 8, and so was I. And I hit a bunch of 6 and 8s, and we just kept pressing him up. So we didn't lose a ton of money there, but then we started playing hard ways again, and the next guy went on a run, and we ended up losing that as well. So the hard ways are the way to go. You just have to have deep pockets in order to do it. Yeah.
And then we did the old
it was fun, though.
splitteroo.
Really fun.
You and I went, I think we gave ourselves 2 hours, and we challenged each other to see what pair would come back with more money. So you and I went over to the 4 Queens or the Golden Nugget. I think both, right?
Yeah.
It's Fremont. If you haven't been, for our listeners, it's really fun to go downtown.
You got to go downtown.
It's old school with.
You're right, Sal. Really old school.
A lot
they
of
got
street
live
performers
music on either end, street performers in between. Yeah, a lot of fun.
A funny thing,
Careful with the street performers.
Yeah, you do. You got not street walkers, street performers, Sal. Like David said, we decided that we were going to do a challenge, and we each were going to put in $200 each. So I think it was $400. Or it might have been only $200. I forget. But David and I were going to be a team, and Dieter and TJ were going to be a team. And like David said, I think it was like 90 minutes or 2 hours, like he said. And we said, okay, we're going to meet back at this spot in 2 hours, and we're pooling all our money together, but we're playing separate pairs. And David and I started walking around at different casinos, and we decided we were just going to take flyers and do some 5-reel stuff and slot machines. And we held our own. And then
the Wizard of Oz or something we played.
We played the Wizard of Oz. We played what was the other one we played that was funny? I forget, but we hit a couple bonus rounds. We got we were down to $60, and then we were up to 400, and then we had a chili dog stop, Coney Island dog stop.
I forgot about the chili dog. And okay, Sal, picture this. So when you're eating a chili dog and there's like no napkins and there's a small little boat you put your chili dog in, do you eat it over your shirt or over the sidewalk? Which one would you do, Sal?
You know where this is going.
Well, the Woodford Reserve would have a lot to do with that decision.
So Pete looks down and he's got chili kind of from about here all the way down. And he looked at me like, how did that happen?
That is exactly
so
how
I
it
wish I
went,
kind
too.
of would have been the guy that was in the bathroom that you found, and you're in there and you're putting your shirt up against the blow dryer,
Right,
like wondering what the
exactly.
heck's going on.
Like I'm as you might imagine, I'm experienced at this. So I went into one of the casino bathrooms and found the pump action hand soap, and literally had my shirt over the faucet and was scrubbing it. And people are walking in. I'm sure in Vegas that's nothing new to them. They're just like,
Right.
oh yeah, another weirdo. But then I go over to the blow dryer and I'm blowing my shirt off.
Love it.
But we stopped at some little place. I think it was in the D, wasn't it? That had the little Coney Island dogs, or was it
remember.
at
I wish I
Circa?
would've
It wasn't
taken a picture.
Circa. I think it was another one. Maybe
Better
Big
than the
Nick's.
Gopher Bar?
No, not better than the Gopher Bar, but good. I do love the Coney Islands chili dogs.
Because if you haven't been
Gopher
following
Bar.
yet, we haven't eaten at all yet.
Right,
All
exactly.
right.
That-
So like we haven't eaten at all, and it's probably 5 or 6 o'clock at night by now, right?
yes, there was time warps on that day. Yes,
And you're still consuming this entire time. Alcohol.
yes, we are. We're definitely still keeping the buzz alive. Yeah.
I forgot about the chili dog.
You did. You were the one who pointed it out.
Oh, but it looks so good, and it was good. I think we split it, didn't we? Or did we each?
No, don't say that on air.
Okay, good.
we did not split.
Cut
it.
that out. Okay, let's
we
move
each
to.
had one.
So then
and
we
it
went
was
back
like
to
$42.
because otherwise this is going to be a long podcast, and everyone's like, "Well,
Yeah.
geez." Okay, so
So
we went back, had a little bit of fun, and then the next morning, you and I woke up fairly early. We were rooming together, and we went and got our train to Cold Brews,
we got our cold brews,
and we did some Buffalo Ascension, Buffalo Run, right? Bull Blitz.
We got some videos. That was fun. We played a bunch of different ones. We never
Yeah.
hit the Bull Blitz bonus, did we?
No, but we did hit Bookend Kings, which we've never had. 4 Kings, so we got dealt Kings on the bookend and got 4 of a kind.
So we've been grousing about bookends
Oh.
forever, and I think we've probably hit bookend pairs in the 1 and 5 position on video poker. We've been grousing about that since we started on episode 1, and neither one of us have ever hit more than a 3 of a kind on the bookends. I've never hit a full house. David finally got a pair of kings dealt. You hit the button, and what happened?
Got 2 more Kings, so we had to take a video of it.
It was
And if you guys are listening to us for the 11th time, thank you. I need to do a PSA here and tell you that Pete is 2 for 2 on getting dealt full houses and throwing the other pair. So I looked at him shortly after that, and I went, so he had 3 3s and 2 6s.
that's
And he
yeah.
kicked the 6s and he kept the 3 3s. And I said, you don't want to keep the full house? And just like the chili dog on his shirt, he looked at me like, how the hell did that happen?
As much as I hate to admit it, another accurate story. I literally threw a full house again, and David's like, "What is wrong with you?" Well, I zeroed in on the 3 of a kind again, and I just didn't see the other 2. I didn't look at them. So, yeah,
That's awesome. So we did a lot of gambling that day as well, obviously, and we had a nice dinner.
that
Was
day we showered,
that
so that was good. So, and you know what
We
I used
played-
in the shower? I brought along my Duke Cannon stuff.
That's great. I saw that sitting in there.
Yeah, so I brought along the Duke Cannon stuff. I can't tell you how much I'm enjoying, 1, the big ass bar of soap, 2, the shampoo, and
The
3,
pomade.
The pomade. I
Yeah.
just bought some pomade at the Target store. And by the way, I was walking through Menards the other day, and there's Duke Cannon in Menards as well.
Love it.
And we love that stuff. It's really good. I bring it with me now when I travel because Duke Cannon, if you're out there, great products, great hair products, great body products. And what's most important, David, they support the military. They support veterans. They support active military service. A lot of what they do has to do with supporting our military. So we thank them for their sponsorship, and we thank them for their hair products as well.
Love it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure I tell 2 more stories that I'll always remember about this trip with the 4 of you. We were at Cosmo. We were playing a little roulette, blackjack. We were having some fun.
Yes.
And Tim and I went into the bathroom.
Yeah.
And I said, Tim, you up for something? He's like, yeah. I'm like, go out there and tell them you've got this game we have to play, and you need $20 from them. And so Tim walks out and he goes, I got this game that we got to play, $20. And Dieter and Pete just give him 20, just like I
Whipped
did.
it
really
out.
quick.
Didn't even think about
Yeah.
it.
And he walks over to the claw game.
The
Sal.
claw game.
And those two, we've got video of it. We'll post it through Spencer and Sal. And we proceeded to do 6 hands or 8 hands of trying, and never again will I play the claw. But it was worth the fun.
It was funny, Sal, because they literally, we had played roulette first, which was funny because we all threw $100 down and we were pooling our money. We could pull up to this roulette table, and it was it a $25 minimum table or was it 15? I think it was 15.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
And we all got our own $100 worth of chips on the roulette table, and it was only the 4 of us at a roulette table. It was like 1 PM on the second day, and we started playing, just picking random numbers. Some guys are betting red, black. Other guys, I'm betting just numbers.
And you're doing 2 a time, I think, because you hit once or twice on 2 a time.
I did. I ended up hitting. I think when we finally got to the end of the roulette session, it was just me left with like $60 left or something. And David's like, "I'm done with this game. Let's get out of here. Let's go do something else." And I think I threw all of my $60 on 4 different numbers, and one of them hit. And we ended up dead even. We ended up at $400.
See, that's the fun thing about Vegas and the benefit of pooling money with people.
Yeah.
Now, you might think, right, like you said earlier, because you do have a little bit of that. Like, wait a second, this is my money. Well, no, it's all 4 of us sitting down. So it doesn't matter if Dieter
Right.
hits or I hit.
Right.
So, Sal, like you said earlier, how do you keep track? We would kind of shore up after each session.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Like and we took the chips and we went in and we cashed it out and we split it right there and we went to the next game.
Yeah, and what we decide upon, and 4 is tougher than 2 for me. I had a hard time with 4. Because,
I did too, and I think those 2 did as well.
Yeah, I think it's better to pool up with 2 and then meet back in the middle. Or, if you're gonna pool, just say, hey, you guys take 500 and go here, and we'll take 500 and go there, and we'll meet back and decide, win a lot. Because if you trust each other, it's fine. You're friends, it's good. But I felt like we were difficult, and I felt like those guys at points those 2 wanted to play different games than you and I wanted to play, and I think TJ and Dieter figured out that I'm a little different of a gambler than they are. I'm not saying that's better or worse. I just think they're more comfortable with the 2 of them and have gambled more together.
Sure.
And
I
you
also
and I are
think,
more comfortable with
truth
each other.
be told to our listeners, that you and I were in bed at 11 o'clock and those 2 stayed up till 3 and 4 and 5. So they had plenty of time to gamble on their own.
It's true.
So I want to tell one more story.
Yes. The
and-
claw story actually was good too, because
was a lot of
I
fun.
thought you were serious when you came out of the bathroom. I think you even said it too. You're like, "Hey, we got one more game, and this is a great game. We're gonna play it." Like they built it up, Sal. And
Well,
and
it would have been, but like every
On
time
the-
we got the ball, it was $30. We were betting 10 to win 30 to an impossible game.
It-
Like it's the dumbest thing.
if anybody out there doesn't know what the claw game is, it's literally what you think it is. It's the machine the kids play where they try to grab the stuffed animal with the claw and pull it over to the chute to drop it down. That's what claw is.
And they're balls. They're plastic balls with a metal claw.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't. Yeah, you can't.
Right. And the funny part was they came out of the bathroom and they deadpan serious. They both were like, "We got this game that we're going to win. And this is a great game. We're only going to throw $20 in a piece." And David pulls out his phone and starts recording, and he pans over to the claw game, and TJ points to the claw game. And I think on video, I'm like, there's no effing
No,
way.
you and Dieter were like, we're not doing this.
We're not playing this game.
And we gave you no choice but to come with it.
And we played.
like a kid at Dave & Buster's, you had a blast with it.
It was fun.
For $20.
We did not win a damn thing on that game.
But for $20, there you go.
So you had another story.
Well, yeah. So the next, our last day, and then I want to hear, because I haven't asked you about Miss Prop Bet,
Yeah.
Pete, what you guys did for the 2 days after we left.
Yeah.
But Sal, we didn't fly out till late the 3rd day, so we had plenty of time to gamble, and we went over to, where did we play Mississippi Stud?
Paris. Went
over to Paris, and
Yeah.
we've never played Mississippi Stud. So Sal, like you were teaching us Pai Gow, we sat down at Mississippi Stud, and Dieter's played before. TJ, you and I have not.
Dieter and TJ had played the day before when we split up for a while.
Oh, they did.
And-
that's right.
And remember, they had said, we got this
We gotta
game
play
where
this
it's
game.
almost foolproof. You can win.
If you take a look at it, for those of you interested in another table game, it's a chase game though. And there's 2 parts to this story that I want to say. The 4 of us sat down, and there was a gentleman that sat to my left. He was sitting at third base, and I think we each cashed in for $300, wasn't it?
I think it was 3 or 400, yeah,
Okay.
a piece.
He cashed in for 1,000, so not that big of a deal. But it's noon.
The
or
table
something
just
on a
opened up
Friday.
on noon.
Just open at noon,
Yeah,
right?
That's correct.
And so he gets $1,000 in chips, Sal. And within, I would say 5 minutes, he pulled out another 2,000.
Yeah,
Okay?
he
So
had
started
lost
with
1,000.
and he pulled out 2,000. So it's this idea where you're going to get 2 cards, and then the dealer has 3, and you're going to try to make your best 5-card stud hand in poker, and the betting varies. So like if you get 10s or lower, you get your money back. Pair of 10s or lower,
Right.
money back. 3 of a kind, it's like 7-1. 4 of a kind is like 200 to 1. Like it's crazy on the odds.
So you're not playing against the dealer, you're playing for a hand.
for a hand. And we were getting our butts kicked. I think then I hit 3 of a kind, and then Dieter did, and then Tim did. But we were down to our last little bit. So let me tell you about the guy next to it, and then I want to tell you what you did to get us back,
Yeah.
because it's a fun story.
Yeah.
But the guy next to us, Sal, so I'm not judging at all, but if you have $10,000 on you, it's kind of tough to put that somewhere, right? I mean, 10,000 and hundreds is like this.
It's a lot of money.
So he cashed in for 1,000. Within 5 minutes, he had another 2,000 in front. Now he's betting 30 each spot, and then backing it up. We'll talk about it later. We were betting, I think, 10 and backing up to 30.
Yeah, minimum
Wasn't it?
was 10, and this is the first time we had played, so we all went minimum bet.
Yep.
So
Anyways,
$30 a hand.
Within 55 minutes, he was $9,000 in.
He was down $9,000.
Holy.
And this is the table opened at noon on a Friday in Paris.
Yeah.
And he sat down next to us. And I don't know, like $9,000 with you at a time is a lot of money. And he just kept pulling it out.
He was angry too.
Well, I think anybody
I don't blame
would
him.
be. But he wasn't.
Yeah.
He wasn't a disrespectful angry. He was like disappointed, maybe, right? Like he wasn't banging the table or anything.
The one thing that I'll say too is we're losing just like he is because we're all playing together against
Just bad cards, really bad.
the cards were horrible. And
Yeah.
he even said, he commented, he said, I play a lot of Mississippi stud and I've never seen cards this bad.
The dealer might flip over a pair or 3 of a kind or something, and you
Right.
can make some good money. So, what did you have when you? Did you have a pair?
I had a pair of kings.
So you backed it up 3 different ways.
So I had a pair of kings, and I knew in this game in particular, when you have a hand that's jacks or better, 10s or better, you literally are even money to start. Like you can't lose money. And then you can up your bet on each one of the 3 slots right away. And so I upped my bet to the max bet on it, and I had to borrow money from everybody to do it.
we were all
pool.
done. It was just
Yeah.
you left.
It was just me left. And at that point, we were down 1,600.
I think we were in for 4 each.
4 each. So we were down 1,600 on that table. In the 55 minutes that guy lost $9,000, we all lost 1,600.
So that table was
collectively.
10-6 right away.
Yeah. And I had a pair of kings, so I max betted it. And
Was it a 6?
a 3.
3.
A 3 came up, and then another 3 came up.
So now we're really excited.
So now I've got 2 pair, and I'm thinking, okay, this is good. You can't bet anymore because you've already made your max bet.
and we're thinking king or a 3 is a full house, and you're looking up, you're going to win. Was it 200?
yeah.
Up on the board.
So there's one bet you make. It's a weird bet. It's called the NV. That's
Progressive bet or something.
Progressive bet. That's the Pygo one I was talking about. Anyway, there's one bet that you get paid, just like a multiple of a $5 bet, which we got paid $250. So anyway, the dealer pulls the card up and she goes, "What do you need?" And I said, "I need a king." She dropped a king down. So I had a full house. She pays me $250 on a $5 bet or something because that was the odds
the
on that
progressive thing.
Progressive
yep.
bet.
And then it was.
And then I got paid $1,500.
So yeah,
king
because I
on
think you tipped her, because that's a pretty unheard of hand. That's a really good hand.
She was a little mad.
And we ran like crazy, and we won like $40.
So after
right?
tip,
what was
yeah,
you had 1640 or something?
yeah.
with you, didn't you?
After tipping
we
her,
went
I
to
had
lunch.
$16.50.
We were like, Pete's
Yeah.
the hero, and we carried him out on our shoulders. I mean, minus carrying him out on the shoulders.
But one came down to the last hand, and we got our money back. So Mississippi Stud is a fun game.
Yeah.
But it's like you said, it's a chase game. You're chasing for that good hand. And if you get the good hand, you can go way up. You get a couple good hands in a row, you get way, way up, and then you just kind of.
So I don't think I told you,
Watch it
but the
filter
guy
down.
next, he had said that he got 4 of a kind, and it paid $25,000 on his betting. So that's where I'm sure he was thinking, I'm going to get 4 of a kind again.
Yeah. Well,
But
I can't.
that's a chase game, right?
He was reasonably calm for losing 10 large. In,
Maybe he's playing with his winnings.
He might have been, but still, huh?
Yeah, right.
Didn't you say he asked to see the pit boss or something because he was mad about the cards that were being dealt or
They
something?
came to him and said, you can go to a different table. And he was helping us and being nice or whatever. And then when we left, it was something like that. It was something like that.
Yeah.
But we had a really good time. And then Dieter and TJ and I caught a flight out, and we did not gamble at all on the plane on the way back. TJ and I sat
Did
next
you
to each
gamble at
other.
the airport?
We did. Yeah, we did.
And so
I
did
don't
I,
think I did.
with
Oh,
Mrs. Prop Bet
You did,
as
okay.
well, yeah.
Usually those slot machines are good.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I think TJ and I each threw in 100 or something and didn't make any. It wasn't profitable, but it was a super fun vacation.
It was. We had a couple nice dinners. We had one at Prime in Bellagio.
Yep,
that was
love
really
it.
good. In fact, Kim and I ate there again.
At the bar, you guys ate at the
next
bar,
night,
right?
yep.
I think you sent a picture.
Yep,
Yeah,
that's not the cheap bill. A steak at Prime is. They definitely like to
worth the
charge you for it,
ambiance and
but
the
yeah, it was well worth it. The
fountain in the background.
Food's fantastic. Everything's great there. What was the other dinner we had? That first night we didn't really eat.
You guys went to the Wynn, I think.
Yeah, we did. We went to Sinatra in the Wynn for dinner. And gambled a little bit in the Wynn. At that point, I was a little burned out on gambling, so I'm like, "Hey, Mrs. Prop Bet, why don't you go gamble?" And she took 100 and turned it into 700 at Wynn on the 5 rails. She played a little Wizard of Oz and Dancing Drums and
Yeah.
a few
Love
others. And right before, I think she threw 100 in, and right before dinner she cashed out at 698 or something. So that was fun. And we didn't really see any shows. We did a long walk the next morning, the Saturday morning, and ended
Went
up
to the Wells Fargo.
down. Exactly. Brought a mask and a fake gun and pretended to.
Hey.
No, yeah, I can't say
You
that.
went for a lovely walk.
Went
on
for a
the
lovely
Strip.
walk on the Strip. We went down to Resorts World. I threw 100 into a poker machine because I happened to bring a little money with me in my walking shorts. And Resorts World paid me $300 on a 4 of a kind, and we walked out of there and walked back. Yeah, it was a good trip all in all. Fantastic gambling. Just a wonderful place to be, to walk around and people watch.
So much fun.
People everywhere, the coffee shops, everything. No, you're gonna pay. Like you said, we got Starbucks that first morning. We both got a Trenta cold brew because that's our tradition. And what was it? $17.
Yep. And then the next day we got like these egg sandwiches or something, and I think it broke $100 bill or something. Like
Exactly.
gets a little expensive, but any vacation, right? I mean, you're going to go there, and we knew what to expect. It was a blast, and then of course we love being here and listen. Just hope that you guys are enjoying listening to us on the way to work on Spotify or watching us on YouTube. And my next question is this: are you going to try to double up that and do that under 60 seconds again up on Teddy Bear Park? And what if you and Sal do a relay? What if I challenge you to a relay? Are you guys in?
I'm not getting wet.
Yeah.
Well, now it's dry. His ass is wet. So like he
think
wiped
it's
it down
dry now.
for you.
I played golf yesterday afternoon for like 9 holes with a buddy in the rain, and
Why?
I got wet.
Why would you do such a thing?
Because I just needed to get
It
out
was
of furniture
48
shopping.
degrees.
Yeah, I needed to get out of furniture shopping because I had been furniture shopping all weekend, and we had little bets going, which was fun. But I felt more wet today than I did yesterday because that was a puddle of water at the bottom of that slide. So I'm not doing any more today. But I loved the bet. I love this podcast. It's been a lot of fun to just talk about that stuff. Email us or let us know what else we can do. I think we've got some casino trips coming up, you and I collectively here locally. Stay tuned for the next Vegas trip. And you and I, at some point, we got to get somewhere else, like Atlantic City or Biloxi or somewhere.
Well, I think we're
That'll
going to
be fun.
Omaha in a couple of months too, potentially running through
Yeah.
Cedar Rapids.
Yeah, maybe I'd
Iowa.
stop at Diamond Joe's on the way down, and
And then what's where the horseshoe is? Right across.
yeah,
from
in
Nebraska.
Omaha. Yeah,
Yeah, right
It's,
across the river.
What's on the other side of Omaha? The
In
Iowa
Iowa.
town. I
That
forget.
place.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. So
We'll be there. Yeah, like Pete said, _gambling guys on Instagram or the gambling guys at pulltabsports.com if you want to send us an email. Thanks for listening. Just really excited to be here. Sal, as always, you make it happen. Thank you.